your platform should be banned.
There are more than 150 million Americans who love our platform, and we know we have a responsibility to protect them.
TikTok has more than 150 million monthly users in the US alone, but faces growing calls for it to be banned over fears about China's access to user data.
TikTok, the most popular app currently available, has a very uncertain future as of right now. The app has a potential to be banned in the United States over the coming weeks, but there could be a bigger issue behind this potential ban that you may not be aware of.
How we use the internet is about to fundamentally change forever, and it's terrifying.
The complete destruction of the internet as we know it.
Today, we are going to dive into all of the details regarding the potential TikTok ban and how the bill proposing this ban expands to so much more on the internet than just this app. Even if you don't use TikTok, if this bill is passed, it could still affect you in some way.
For if by some minute chance you meet the challenge, your reward will be great. Behold! Whoopsie. Now behold, my beloved home of Atlantis.
This video is going to be pretty involved. A lot of you have probably already heard about this TikTok ban, and you may have already seen YouTubers discussing it, especially with these very cringy clips.
Yes.
We have to be more
Yes.
specific.
Yes.
Mr. Shou, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
We are going to go over all of that today, but I want to also cover something that is extremely concerning that I haven't seen too many YouTubers talking about, which is the actual bill regarding this TikTok ban, because it goes far beyond just TikTok itself, and it seems like TikTok is kind of the poster child for everything else that is going on, but when you peer into it a little bit more, it's terrifying. When it comes to TikTok, there are a lot of dark corners on that app. As you've seen if you follow my channel, we talk about a lot of stuff that goes on TikTok. TikTok isn't the only website where crazy things happen, but it is the most popular app that people use nowadays, and when there's a lot of people using something, there tends to be a lot of crazy stuff that can happen. Over the past few years, there has been a lot of discussion over the potential ban of TikTok. The government in the United States have been trying to ban TikTok for quite a while now. A lot of this has to do with our data and security, our privacy, which if you're using any app, if you're online at any capacity, your privacy's already gone, I'm sorry to tell you.
Someone is always watching. So don't forget to smile.
But in regards to this, it has to do with fears of all of that going to the Chinese government, and a lot of people do happen to be worried about that. But the way that this has been handled so far is extremely concerning, not only for users of TikTok, but anybody who uses the internet at any capacity. And by internet, I don't just mean social media, I mean literally anything that requires internet access to work. You see, this ban on TikTok is actually called the Restrict Act, and there's a lot more to be concerned about in this bill than just the ban of TikTok. As if people aren't already concerned about the lack of knowledge that people in Congress seem to have about internet apps and technology in general due to the recent hearing that has had a lot of highlights being publicized. But before we get into how embarrassing that was, I want to go over some of the thoughts that many of you have shared with me over in my recent poll about the potential ban of TikTok. So the other day I asked you guys if you agree with this TikTok ban, and I was astonished to see that for quite a while the poll was resting at 50-50. It's still pretty close now, with most of you believing that TikTok should not be banned, but over 10,000 of you voted, and I want to say that I really appreciate the feedback, whether you are for or against the ban, because I really love knowing your thoughts, and I would like to read out some of those thoughts to the rest of you guys today, so we can get an understanding of where everybody's at from multiple different perspectives. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but I believe in having a choice too. Although there are some on the platform that need to be more responsible. I think social media as a whole should be brought into question if it should exist in its highly unregulated state, and it should or shouldn't be more regulated by governing bodies. TikTok and Meta, etc., are one and the same when it comes to gathering user data and selling it to advertisers for targeted marketing. It's hard to decide. I understand for some it's an escape, or maybe a place to have fun and be creative, but it's also a miserable thing. I cannot tell you how many times I caught myself doom scrolling on that app. I deleted it last month, and although I'm much better, I feel like the doom scrolling has affected me deeply. It has pros and cons. Personally, I believe the cons outweigh the pros at this point, although I also believe a lot of its content would just migrate everywhere else like Vine creators did. YouTube especially would be flooded with TikTokers. So would it actually make that big of an impact to ban it? I have a lot of good friends that I've met there. I don't really want it to be flat out banned. No, a lot of small businesses use it for promotional use. Artists use it to show off their work. It's a way of connecting with others. People saying how addicting it is, it's the exact same with Facebook and Instagram, just different generations. I've learned a lot more on TikTok than anywhere else, and also some great book recommendations. I don't think the platform itself is the problem. I think that's what little moderation they have and how they handle their moderation that is the problem. Absolutely, without a doubt. That place has one of the most toxic influencers, with most of their viewers being children. The many stupidly dangerous challenges, and the algorithm doesn't make it any better. While I know full well the problems TikTok has, I don't want it banned. It's the only platform I've gotten a decent following where I can post my art, and I do have a lot of fun on it. Again, TikTok probably should do better at controlling the negatives, but that's with every platform, not gonna lie. Yes, but we should have a similar app that has the good parts of TikTok, but with a better algorithm that doesn't promote harmful trends. Make sure you're subscribing to this channel with notifications on so that if I make any more polls like this, you are notified of it and you can interact with this as well. I'm not trying to diss anybody who did vote. Yes, I think TikTok should be banned because part of me thinks that, you know, maybe the world would be better if we weren't so sucked into our phones every day. But I just personally disagree that it should be banned, and I would rather say that people should have the choice to use TikTok or any other app that they please. I would rather have people be given the choice as to whether or not they would like to use these apps. Now, when it comes to the security risk, one, I do think that it could be very concerning when you look at an app that may be having its data going to other countries. I get why that's a concern. I agree with that being a concern, but I also want to let you know that I personally don't believe that this privacy issue is the only reason why they are trying to ban TikTok right now, because we're going to look into this entire bill, and it is a lot more than just TikTok itself. Even if you do disagree, I hope that you hear me out on this, because I think this is a really important topic to discuss, especially as somebody who talks about apps and crazy things going on the internet. I really want to get my thoughts across on here, and I really want to tell you what really worries me about this, and I also want to know your thoughts on this. On March 23rd, TikTok CEO Shou testified before Congress in attempts to defend TikTok and prevent it from becoming banned in the United States. Now, first of all, as others have pointed out on TikTok, this app has been around for years, and this is the first time we're really seeing its CEO in the spotlight. Prior to the hearing, Shou made TikToks on his own, which you can see here.
Hi everyone, it's Shou here. I'm the CEO of TikTok. I'm here in Washington, D.C. today, and I have some news and updates to share with everyone here. Today, I'm super excited to announce that more than 150 million Americans are on TikTok. That's almost half of the US coming to TikTok to connect, to create, to share, to learn, or just to have some fun. This includes 5 million businesses that use TikTok to reach their customers, and the majority of these are small and medium businesses. Now, these numbers are amazing, and I'm so thankful to all of you and the 7,000 TikTok employees in the US who are helping us build this incredible community in America and around the world. Now, this comes at a pivotal moment for us. Some politicians have started talking about banning TikTok. Now, this could take TikTok away from all 150 million of you. I'll be testifying before Congress later this week to share all that we're doing to protect Americans using the app and deliver on our mission to inspire creativity and to bring joy. Let me know in the comments what you want your elected representatives to know about what you love about TikTok.
While he seemed optimistic in these videos, this hearing turned out to be one of the most embarrassing things to listen to, as so many in Congress asked the most ignorant questions, showcasing how little they actually know about apps, social media, or technology in general. This hearing has brought me nothing but physical pain as I watched each clip that's been circulating online.
Exposed that TikTok and ByteDance share legal teams. You confirmed this, correct?
The full hearing is over 5 hours long. I have seen some highlights that really make me question some of the politicians that are supposed to be speaking on behalf of the American citizens because they don't even know how technology works. And this is horrifying because we are living in a world that is entirely dependent on technology, and we have people running our systems that have no idea how the it works.
Your TikTok employees that live in China, they must cooperate with Chinese intelligence whenever they are called upon. And if they are called upon, they're bound to secrecy. That would include you. So Mr. Chu, if the CCP tells ByteDance to turn over all data that TikTok has collected inside the US, even within Project Texas, do they have to do so, according to Chinese law?
Congressman, first, I'm Singaporean. Again, we do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users.
I find that hard to believe. It's our understanding that they're looking at the eyes. How do you determine what age they are then?
We rely on age gating as our key age assurance.
Age
gating, which is when you ask the user what age they are. We have also developed some tools where we look at their public profile to go through the videos that they post to see whether...
Well, that's creepy. Tell me more about that.
It's public. So if you post a video, you choose that video to go public, that's how you get people to see your video. We look at those to see if it matches up the age that you talked about.
Talk and ByteDance share legal teams. You confirmed this, correct?
Our general counsel is an American lawyer, veteran.
This lady reminds me of somebody that would be in Target screaming at a cashier for expired coupons not working, and then she'd get the manager over, and the manager would sit there and try to explain to her, well, we can't use your coupons, ma'am, because clearly this is the date that they expired, and it's after this date. But she'd be interrupting every 5 minutes. Yes, yes, and yes, yes.
Yes.
We have to be more specific.
Yes.
After Project Texas? No.
I'm not asking after Project Texas, I'm asking now. Yes.
I'm just at a loss for words at this point.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the...
So if I have a TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
It will have to access the network to get connections to the internet, if that's the question.
Is it possible then that it could access other devices on that home Wi-Fi network?
Congressman, we do not do anything that is beyond any industry norms. I believe the answer to your question is no. It could be technical. Let me get back to you.
This situation reminds me of a time. I'm going to tell you a little story here. It's going to be brief. Myself, my fiance, or at the time my boyfriend, and our friends were all hanging out. We were in high school still, and we were playing a game on my friend's TV at his house, and we were using his computer, which was hooked up to the TV, playing the game on the computer, but using the TV as a giant monitor, which is something that is way more common now. His mother comes home and finds us using the computer hooked up to the TV to play a game, and she starts freaking out, thinking that us playing that game on the computer was going to give the TV a virus. Which, by the way, something like that would be extraordinarily rare, and this was not a smart TV. This was just a regular basic TV with no bells or whistles. Now, that's just a funny story that my fiance and I like to reminisce on because it was a funny moment, and we still like to laugh about it to this day. But the situation at hand is, that's kind of what this reminds me of. It reminds me of that moment because you have people that are in charge of things and they have no idea how the platform actually works and what actually is and isn't a threat. I guarantee you, if there was a team of people in this room with these politicians that were highly informed and educated on the way technology works, the way that social media works, the way that apps are programmed, and have all this knowledge of all of what is going on, there could be a lot of questions formed in a much better manner that would propose a better discussion. Before we move on to the next issue, TikTok CEO Shou did make one more video after the hearing.
Hey guys, it's Shou here. As you know, I just testified before Congress, and I wanted to share my thoughts about the experience with you. Now, before I do that, I really want to thank you for the comments in the last video. Now, TikTok is all about conversations and community, and I'm so grateful to hear from all of you. Now, here are a few of my favorites. Now, that is what it's all about. A lot was said at the hearing, but I hope you heard the message, the important message, that it is our responsibility to protect more than 150 million Americans who love and use our platform. Now, this is why I'm making the following commitments to you. Number one, we will continue to keep Safety, especially for teenagers, a top priority. Second, we will continue to protect your data from unauthorized foreign access. Now in the US, American data will be stored on American soil by an American company overseen by American personnel. Third, we will ensure that TikTok remains a platform for free expression and that it cannot be manipulated by any government. And fourth, we will be transparent and give access to third-party independent monitors to keep us accountable for our commitments. Now we know that trust is built with every decision we make. We are proud of the groundbreaking work we are doing to be the most trusted platform in the world. Thank you for listening. I hope you share this information with your friends, your family, and your elected officials on why TikTok is important to you.
I will say that a lot of people do lack trust in TikTok as a company due to so much that has happened with the app, and I'm sure that that also includes people who are against its ban. While I still think that people should be able to choose whether or not to use this app, there definitely are safety risks and people are concerned about them. But I noticed that people are also becoming increasingly concerned about this Restrict Act, otherwise known as Bill S.686, and we are finally going to dive into that now. Here is where we need to start taking a turn from talking about cringy moments from this hearing and kind of laughing at the world imploding in on itself like a dying star, and focus on something that's a little bit more serious. Not that the banning of TikTok isn't serious, because even though it can be a terrible cesspool and a terrible place, a lot of people do rely on TikTok to support their businesses, to connect with others, to get their news, etc. But this is even scarier than just losing one app. Behind this discussion of the potential ban of TikTok is this bill titled Bill S686, the Restrict Act. I have not seen a lot of YouTubers talking about this, and I think if more YouTubers knew about what this entailed, they would be talking about this, because this goes far beyond TikTok and could be worrisome for everybody. This could be worrisome for everybody. Here are a few clips of different TikToks that I think sum things up pretty well, and after these clips, we're going to look at the bill itself.
This bill is the Patriot Act on steroids. It allows the president the ability to choose a secretary of communications that can have an advisory board. None of these people who are elected, who can have closed door meetings, meaning the public is not privy to it, cannot attend, they don't even have to put it in writing, who can decide what they do and do not want to allow on the internet. Not just apps like TikTok, everything. If they want TikTok banned and they pass this Restrict Act, you go on the internet and you say, hey, you could use a VPN to still access TikTok. Not only would the person who has the VPN be at risk of imprisonment for aiding and abetting them, they want to monitor any social network platform, any internet, anything that has over 1 million users.
Using VPNs to bypass banned apps such as TikTok is made a criminal act under this bill. And the penalty? It's a minimum imprisonment of 20 years and a minimum fine of $250,000 or $1 million, depending if you knowingly did so to access banned content. The bill gives the federal government the power to monitor any activity used by these suspected devices, virtual or otherwise. Essentially, they can monitor what you are doing at home 24/7 without even informing you. The bill goes on to state that this will happen by the president appointing a secretary of communication. That secretary then forms a group on their own without any voter input whatsoever. This group can have meetings behind closed doors. They don't have to disclose anything. They can ban and deem anything inappropriate or a risk to security at any moment in time. And if they do, they can go through your instant messages, your emails, texts, basically anything that uses the internet, and they can censor it.
We're going to dive into a lot regarding this bill. We're not going to read every single thing, but if you would like to read the entire thing yourself, I will have this linked below. We're going to start at Section 3 because Section 1 is just the title and Section 2 goes over definitions. The only thing I want to take a look at before we get into Section 3 is the text that is right under a bill, which is to authorize the Secretary of Commerce to review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries, but this is the important part, and for other purposes. Notice how vague this is. Let's get into Section 3 now. addressing information and communication technology products and services that pose undue or unacceptable risk. The security, in consultation with the relevant executive department and agency heads, is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiating, entering into, or imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person, or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines poses an undue or unacceptable risk of sabotage or subversion of the design, integrity, manufacturing, production, distribution, installation, operation, or maintenance of information and communications technology products and services in the United States. I know this is a mouthful. We're going to get through this, and then I'm going to break it down in a little bit more of an understandable way. B, catastrophic effects on the security or resilience of the critical infrastructure or digital economy of the United States. C, interfering in or altering the result or reported result of a federal election as determined in coordination with the Attorney General, the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of Treasury, and the Federal Election Commission. Or D, coercive or criminal activities by foreign adversaries that are designed to undermine democratic processes and institutions or steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of the strategic objectives of a foreign adversary to the detriment of the national security of the United States as determined in coordination with the Attorney General, the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of Treasury, and the Federal Election Commission. Or 2, otherwise poses an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the safety of United States persons. That part's important. So basically what I see is they do bring up the concern of national security, but that appears to only be one part of all of what I just mentioned. You see, what I don't understand is if this was a bill just to ban TikTok because it was a security threat, why isn't this just about TikTok being a security threat? This is what I understand to be happening with everything else I just read to you. Anything that these officials determine as a national threat, whether it's TikTok or anything that they feel like, they will be able to access that, monitor it, quote unquote, evaluate it, and essentially peer into your own personal technology usage however they see fit. They want you to be so afraid of your data not being private with these mobile apps. But from my understanding of this will take even more privacy away from you. Also, in part C, where they discuss the potential of altering future elections, if I understand this correctly, if they pass this bill, it seems like there could be penalties to discussing your own political opinions through social media. Do you want to talk about how you don't like the president or a particular politician? Well, couldn't that count as affecting a future election? Because if you share your opinions and 10, 100, 1,000, or even more people see it, maybe that could cause people to agree with you and maybe make them want to vote for a particular person or a particular party. By the way, I just want to add in here, I do know that there is some kind of law, I can't think of it off the top of my head, that prevents people trying to influence others to vote for a particular person by means of saying, if you vote for this political party, I'll follow you on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, or anything similar to that. I'm pretty sure that hasn't been allowed ever. However, as of right now, people are allowed to express their thoughts on different political parties, different political movements and ideas on the internet in the United States. And since the wording here is so awful, it gets even worse. Who's to stop them from looking into things like private text conversations with friends and family? Jumping ahead just a bit here, if the president determines that the covered holding poses an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the security and safety of the United States persons, the president may take such action as the president considers appropriate to compel divestment of or otherwise mitigate the risk associated with such covered holding to the full extent the covered holding is subject to jurisdiction of the United States with respect to the United States operations, assets, or property of the entity in which the covered holding is held, or any products or services owned, controlled, designed, developed, developed, manufactured, or supplied by the entity are used in the United States. B, any tangible or intangible assets, whether located, are used to support or enable the product or software of the entity in the United States. Or C, any data obtained or derived from the use of the product or software of the entity in the United States. So if I am correct, this sounds exactly like what I was just mentioning. They are able to dive into a lot of your information if they find a particular form of software a threat. So what are these forms of software? Going on to section 5 here, this is where things get really concerning, and if you have been trying not to fall asleep while listening to the earlier part of this video, perk your ears up, this is where it gets scarier. Priority information and communications technology areas. In carrying out sections 3 and 4, the Secretary shall prioritize the evaluation of software, hardware, and any other product service integral to telecommunications products and services, including wireless, local area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platforms, any software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to data hosting or computing service that uses, processes, or retains, or is expected to use, process, or retain sensitive personal data with respect to greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transaction, including internet hosting services, cloud-based or distributed computing and data storage, machine learning, predictive analytics, and data science products and services, including those involving provision of services to assist a party utilize, manage, or maintain open source software, managed services, and content delivery services. Now this is where it gets scary. Internet or network-enabled sensors, webcams, endpoint surveillance or monitoring devices, modems, and home networking devices if greater than 1 million units have been sold to persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transaction. So you're thinking home security systems, Alexa, stuff like that. Unmanned vehicles, including drones and other aerial systems, autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicles, or any other product or service integral to the provision, maintenance, or management of such products or services. And it gets even worse, software designed or used primarily for connecting with and communicating via the internet that is in use by greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period, including desktop applications, mobile applications, gaming applications, payment applications, or web-based applications, information and communications technology products and services integral to AI, machine learning, quantum key distribution, quantum communications, quantum computing, post-quantum cryptography, autonomous systems, advanced robotics, biotechnology, synthetic biology, computational biology, and e-commerce technology services, including any electronic techniques for accomplishing business transactions, online retail, internet-enabled logistics, internet-enabled payment technology, and online marketplaces. So if you have any of those with this bill, the government can just evaluate all of it if they deem you as a national security threat. And from my understanding, it's not just individuals that they could see as a national security threat, it's any website, any application, as we had just mentioned. Today it's TikTok, tomorrow it's your favorite social media and or program that you use on a daily basis. And when it comes to things like gaming, I already know so many politicians will love to hop on the bandwagon of, oh, well, we see this game as a threat, we see this game as a threat, because they love to blame games for a lot of things going on. Also, what about YouTube and Twitch streamers who receive donations from people in other countries? Like, what if you're streaming in America and someone from Australia decides to donate to you? Are they going to investigate that and find that to be some sort of risk? Because like we've said throughout this entire video, it goes far beyond just the data issues from TikTok. It seems like they could just pick and choose whatever whenever they want to be a risk, especially when it comes to things outside of the country. Yeah, this is great. And just to remind you, for anybody saying, oh, well, this is about national security, there are quite a few times where it is worded that it's not just national security, but the threat of individual Americans as well. So they can apply this to pretty much anything they want it to. But don't worry, if you think all of this sounds really scary, I'm about to make it a million times worse. We're gonna go down to section 11, which is the penalties. In general, a person who willfully commits, willfully attempts to commit, or willfully conspires to commit, or aids or abets in the commission of an unlawful act described in subsection A shall, upon conviction, be fined not more than $1 million, or if a natural person may be imprisoned for not more than 20 years, or both. But also, any property, real or personal, tangible or intangible, used or intended to be used in any manner to commit or facilitate a violation or attempted violation described in paragraph 1 shall be subject to forfeiture to the United States. So let's say they ban TikTok and you want to use a VPN to try and get around it and use it anyway. Well, in that case, if they wanted to, they could take away your own properties, they could fine you up to $1 million, and they could put you in jail for up to 20 years. And like I said, for right now, that might just be TikTok, but tomorrow, who knows what it could be. What we have seen over the past few days made it seem like all of these politicians really cared about the safety of people and the privacy of people's data and wanting to make sure that that stays safe. And of course, I understand the concern of having your data going to other countries. That could obviously be concerning for the United States, but so much written in this bill seems to have very little to do with that and more to do with the fact that there's going to be an even bigger threat to your privacy, because this will grant them the rights to look into pretty much anything and everything you interact with online, not just social media. I'm talking about anything that uses any type of internet whatsoever. In my opinion, it seems like they are trying to use the popularity of the title TikTok ban to mask and distract from everything else that is involved in this bill. They were probably under the assumption of, oh, well, people are going to be so mad about TikTok being banned, they're not actually going to look into the bill and realize all of the other stuff going on. They're going to be too distracted by losing one of their favorite pastimes and platforms. And to a point, that sounds like it's true, because not a lot of people are talking about this. Most people are talking about the ban of TikTok and are distracted about the idea of banning the app, when it is so much more than that when you read into it. I get it. I am somebody that finds great concerns in a lot of things online. As you may or may not have seen throughout my channel, I talk about the dangers of a lot of apps and websites and things that are just online. But a couple years ago, I made a video about the potential ban of TikTok, and at the time, I had a similar opinion that I do now, which is the fact that I don't think TikTok should be banned. As crazy as things can get on that app, as horrible as some people can be on that app, it's still an app that is used by just about half of the United States. It is an app that a lot of people use for their own business, to get their own information, to have some sort of entertainment and connect with others. I think there are a lot of improvements that could and should be made to TikTok when it comes to safety, when it comes to people's data, and to ensure that that data isn't going to be sent to other countries. But when it comes to the actual use of the app, there should be some sort of way that we can fix that issue so that our data isn't being sent to tons of companies and potentially other nations. But banning people from being able to access these apps should not be the solution. I will say that I get it if they would like to ban it from government devices, because that would make sense, because if there's government sensitive information that they don't want potentially getting leaked or anything like that, that makes sense. But for the average American citizen who is just using the internet for their pastime, they're getting information, their newsfeed, etc., it should not be restricted like this Restrict Act wants to make it, and people should have the choice on whether or not to use TikTok. And even if you disagree with that, there is no denying that this bill is absolutely terrifying, and you should definitely read it, pay attention to it, and share your thoughts on it while we still can. Because this goes far beyond just TikTok, whether you like that app or not. This could affect pretty much anything that uses internet access. I'm going to be linking some videos down below that cover parts of this this issue in a better light that I can. For example, when it comes to the sharing of data and information on not just TikTok, but other apps, I think Some Ordinary Gamers did a really good video going in depth about all of the ins and outs when it comes to your data being used through TikTok. I will leave the link to the website that shows this bill in its entirety so you can read it for yourself and come to your own conclusion on whether or not you think that this is something that'll be good or bad. From what I have seen, it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. Most people seem to disagree with this when they see the full picture. Maybe not initially when it comes to, do you think TikTok should be banned? Yes, because it's bad. No, because X, Y, and Z. Once you look at this bill, that's when I think a lot of people kind of look at it in a different light. And what drives me crazy is the fact that this isn't being talked about nearly as much as the TikTok ban itself is being talked about. It seems like it's kind of being masked by the TikTok ban. Those are my thoughts. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video, and thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon. With that being said, I will see you in the next video, and yeah.